depression, anxiety, insomnia, suicidal thoughts. Like I could just feel that I was no longer myself and my brain wasn't a fit to the life I had created. So the brain makes a change that changes your behavior.
My next guest is here to rewrite the narrative around midlife. If you haven't heard of the book, Fast Like a Girl, I don't know where you've been. I have been such a fan of that book. It took the world by storm. Dr. Mindy Pelz is my guest today. She's a New York Times best-selling author, a leading voice in women's health, and the host of the popular podcast, The Resetter Podcast. She is joining me to talk about her newest book, Age Like a Girl.
70% of divorces are initiated by women after 40. Her brain rewired. And in that rewirement, she's making new decisions. Right. I think there needs to be a new discussion with couples that have been married a long time of like, okay, I do things for myself now. I do things differently. My brain is rewired and is behaving differently. So we need to have new conversations within the relationship.
So many women feel like they're falling apart. So many women feel like they become a shadow version of their original selves, right?
In all the research I did, we are not victims to this experience. Our brain is literally rewiring itself so that we can start to take on new identities, live life on our terms, instead of being held hostage to what everybody else wants us to do.
Her newest book, it's here today, Age Like a Girl, reframes midlife not as a decline, but as a biologically designed brain and identity reset.
The worst thing you could do is keep doing the same.
Over and over again.
Over and over and over again. And if you look at like the generations that were ahead of us, that's kind of what they do.
Yeah, they kind of get set in their ways, right? We eat dinner, we watch a show, end of the night, we go to bed, we wake back up.
Worst thing you could do.
And I think is that why retirement is the worst construct ever invented by mankind?
The stimulation to your brain goes way down in retirement. Whereas if you're using your brain in creative ways at work or you're interacting with other people and now you're at home, the statistics on retirement, they're terrible. Like, and your aging starts to accelerate. So yeah, exactly. The complacency, the same is going to keep us depressed. Anxiety, I believe, is you're fearful about the future. And so you're fearful about the future because you haven't created anything to be excited about in your future.
Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Taz. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to pause and say thank you. Your messages, your shares, your stories are the reason we make Whole Plus. Every conversation here is about connecting the science, the intuition, and everyday life together so you can feel more like yourself again. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe or follow button. It helps us reach more people who need this. All right, let's begin. All right, well, this is exciting. You're here today with me on Pub Day.
Yeah.
The book is Age Like a Girl. Just the title itself feels like those words don't go together.
Excellent.
And you really age like a girl?
Excellent.
Is that can we still be girls? Is
yes.
that possible?
Yes. It's so funny because Like a Girl is the brand, right? So we did Fast Like a Girl, Eat Like a Girl. So then I was trying to think of a title for this. And what was really interesting is that in writing the book, I realized that the title means something completely different than it did for Fast Like a Girl and Eat Like a Girl.
Yeah.
In the sense that there are qualities that we had when we were little girls that I think we lose as we
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
We become like grown up, responsible women, and we lose that playful essence of who we are. And in all the research I did for the book, I'm like, wait a second. We're supposed to bring those qualities back.
So my giggling
Yes.
and all of the pranks I played on all the nurses and teachers and
That's
all
right.
that, that's all supposed to
Oh
come
my
back.
God, you did?
My team is going to be like, we're out.
Oh my
We're
gosh.
out. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
was
gosh.
pretty mischievous as a girl,
Yeah.
honestly. I was definitely more playful, definitely a lot more fun. And then life kind of happens,
Yeah.
right? And you become, a wife and a mom and a leader and a CEO, all these other roles basically
Yeah.
that we have to play. And that kind of disappears, you
Right.
know? And every now and then it comes back out, and especially comes back out when I'm with my friends from those periods of
Yes.
time, right? And you
So true.
forget that that's who you used to be. Do
Yeah.
a lot of women feel that way?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because one of the main concepts of the book came from Carol Gilligan's work. Are you familiar with
No,
her
I
work?
don't know her.
Okay, so she was a feminist psychologist.
Okay.
And she actually studied girls in the 1980s, which was me, and what happens to teenage girls when they go through puberty. And here's what she discovered
Mm-hmm.
was that if you ask a girl at 9 what she wants, she'll tell you exactly what she wants. So you ask a boy and a girl, what do you want to eat, let's say, and she'll tell you, they'll both tell you exactly what they want. By 11, boy will tell you exactly what he
I've
wants.
seen this,
The
yes.
girl will start to waver. By 13, the boy still tells you what he wants, and the girl will say, I don't know, what are you going to eat?
Oh my gosh.
Right. And we all resonate with that. And what she discovered was that the culture, we could call it the patriarchal culture, or whatever you want to call it, trained girls that you are worthy if you are selfless.
By the time they're 13?
Yes. And this is the world we've all grown up in, is look this way and you will be loved. Act this way and you can be, anything you want to be as long as you act kind and compassionate. Don't be too emotional. Don't be too much this. And so we're constantly getting this message by the culture, by teachers, by authority telling us to behave a certain way so we are worthy. And if you actually start to unpack that, you realize that when we move through menopause, a lot of this we don't care anymore is really we can't keep up with that messaging anymore. We can't keep wrapping ourselves up in little bows and making ourselves feel and look like we fit into the culture. And I think what happens to a lot of women is they start telling their truth, acting the way they want to act. And it's very similar to what they were as little girls.
So many women feel like they're falling apart. So many women feel like they become a shadow version of their original
Yeah.
selves, right? So
That's
many
it.
women I talk to, I'm sure you do as well. How do we help women find that girl again? How do
Yeah.
we help, kind of bring that light back into her eyes and really help light her back up? I know that, people feel like it's over when they hit midlife. They feel like they're done or their clock is ticking, and there's almost this profound sense of grief or sadness, associated with that phase of life.
Yeah.
But I think you're trying to reframe it in a
Yeah.
very different way. So tell us a little bit about what you're hoping, all of us will start to think about when we think about midlife and aging, and how it's not necessarily a sentence or a closed chapter,
Right.
but something to really open us back up.
That's right. Yeah. So what's interesting is what I'm hoping we see is that instead of bitching and moaning about this phase, which I think we've gone from not talking about it to complaining about it.
Right.
And like in that, it's almost like we are victims to the process. And
Interesting.
in all the research I did, we are not victims to this experience. Our brain is literally rewiring itself so that we can start to take on new identities, live life on our terms, instead of being held hostage to what everybody else wants us to do. So what I'm hoping to accomplish with this is a better understanding that this is a process that's happening for us, not to us
Or against us.
or against us. So think of it like this. I mean, I'll use myself as an example. I'm 56 years old. In my late 40s, I started having a lot of the symptoms that so many women have: depression, anxiety, insomnia, suicidal thoughts. Like I could just feel that I was no longer myself and my brain wasn't a fit to the life I had created. Fast Like a Girl had come out, like my career was taking off. But there was like something inside me that was like, I don't know if I want to play this game anymore.
Right.
Like, why am I playing this game? I'm playing this game so people love me. What if I just love me? Those kind of thoughts started to kind of rumble underneath me. And I'll never forget, I ended up going into therapy because of it.
Around that time?
Yeah.
When you're at the height of your success?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because and here's what some of those therapy sessions look like is I don't want my success to define me, Because if I'm addicted to this, what happens when it goes away? What happens when people stop wanting to watch my videos or read my books? Like, what happens? Who am I if all of that goes away? So my therapist and I, we spent a whole year of like, who am I? What is Mindy like outside of the brand that I had built? And one of the things that my therapist said to me that I encourage every woman to say to themselves is like, what do I want to do now?
I love that. We are so in sync because I recently had the same realization.
Yep.
And I'm a little bit younger than you, but recently it was like, there's this character, Dr. Taz, out there.
Yes.
And this character does a lot of stuff, right? And, a whole list of things. But at the end of the day, who is Tasneem Bhatia? Who is that person
Yep.
that started out in childhood, did all the things she did? Who is that person? And
Yep.
when Dr. Taz goes away, what is actually left? And the weird thing for me, with as much as I know, I wasn't actually depressed by it. I was actually looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Because I think there's so much responsibility and so much that's put on us for whatever reasons, whatever our motivations are, right? Whether that's acceptance or ambition, whatever you want to call it, that I was like, oh my gosh, wouldn't it be fun to go back to that person and do the things, whether it's like I was sitting in a florist shop the other day and I was like, I would love to just arrange flowers.
Right.
I don't arrange flowers anymore. I would love to just make fabulous meals. Right now it's like, it's a scene in our house. There are 12 burners going and I'm throwing things all over the place just so food's ready for 3 days. You know what I mean? But I would actually love to make one dish and make it really, really well and enjoy it and savor it.
Yeah.
So I am not fearful of what's next, but I know so many women are.
Yeah.
And so many women feel like they're falling apart, feel like midlife is the end, don't know how to navigate the transition, but at the same time are incredibly tired.
Right.
Not to be mean, but are incredibly tired of the menopause conversation.
Oh, yeah.
They're
Agreed.
incredibly tired of like, do I do HRT
Yes.
or do I not?
Thank
Let's
you.
talk about hormones again. I wrote a book on hormones and I'm tired of it too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Me too.
So I'm just so exhausted by it.
Yeah.
So, what would you like to help women with
Yeah.
who want to get to this place where it feels like we both have had this realization?
Yeah.
How do we all get there? How do we all get to this place where, we are looking forward to whatever's next?
That's right.
know?
Thank you for sharing your story, by the way.
It's just so similar.
So similar. 'Cause
So
I did
similar.
the same thing. I was like, who is Mindy outside of Dr. Mindy?
Yeah.
And like I need to make sure I don't become the thing I created.
Right. Right.
And it was like, I need to be an individual from that caricature. So thank you for saying that. So I want to start there. Here's what I think we need to look at this time of life. And I too, by the way, am exhausted with the menopause conversation. And part of why I'm exhausted is that we just have taken this whole idea of menopause and now we're telling women like, make sure you lift weights, make sure you eat enough protein. Oh, you didn't get the right patch.
Throw up with all the protein.
Yeah.
It's so much protein.
It's too much protein. And like, you did, your doctor won't prescribe you HRT. You found the wrong doctor. You need to go a different doctor. Oh, HRT is not working for you. You didn't get the dose right. Like it's more for women to do in a period when they are exhausted. And here's how I'd like to reframe this. The version of who you were, she served you for a time in your life. You get to put parts of her down now. And you get to create new versions of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And in these new versions, you might find that you liked parts of you as a little girl and you get to bring this back. You were not meant to stay the same through this process. And I think the depression, the anxiety, the insomnia, the suicidal thoughts, all of that that's stirring in women is really this authentic version of a woman that is unfolding. I always use the concept of a butterfly, and I speak about it in the book, and I know it's a very overused metaphor, but actually if you dive into what the butterfly does, is that it's a caterpillar that has something inside of it. It's born with something called imaginal cells. That is its true essence. And when the caterpillar gets tired of consuming life, it's bloated on grass, it actually, something inside itself triggers. it to start to create a chrysalis around it.
Mm-hmm.
It creates a chrysalis around it and dissolves its entire being inside this chrysalis. It's dark, it's gooey. There's not anybody else in the chrysalis. It's just the caterpillar. And eventually becomes just the imaginal cells.
Mm.
And the imaginal cells are what start to build the butterfly. So when you look at this process, what I metaphorically want women to understand through a story like that is that there is an essence of who you were meant to be. Like maybe you were, I love that you were like humorous, because I was that too. I got in a lot of school trouble for being the funny one in the group or in the classroom. But I'm bringing that playful version of me back. That was in my imaginal cells. And so we get to butterfly and turn into a new version of us. And the caterpillar and the butterfly are completely different.
Yeah.
And so this time of our life is meant for a transformation. And that, if we looked at it like that, you have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
When my daughter was in middle school, we were besties. Like, I was like, I don't know what anybody's talking about, the mother-daughter fighting. That doesn't happen. We're besties until she went through a hormonal change.
I was about to say, we were not besties in middle school.
We were besties, but in high school, I became the enemy.
Yeah.
And we all know that a teenage girl, when her hormones come in, she's changing into a different version. She's preparing for adulthood. Why don't we give menopause that same conversation? You have a woman who has played by the rules, most of us, that society set up for us. And when we start to break down the neurological changes that are happening to the brain through this, it really appears to me, and I think to a lot of women when they start to hear this, that you're supposed to become somebody different.
So I love the fact that you frame all of this in this idea of brain resetting or brain remodeling.
Yeah.
Not to get too geeky, but, let's get into the science.
Yeah, let's do it. I like it.
What exactly is happening
if
we get down to chemistry and physiology and biology and all these different things?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. So the first thing that I think is really interesting, and this is going to be really fun to talk with you about, is that women have a thicker corpus callosum in the brain than men do. What that means is that our ability to bring in our right hemisphere and our left hemisphere of our brain we're very agile with that.
So we're smarter.
We are smarter.
Sorry.
Well, let's
gonna slide that in there.
But let's break it down, because you're right though. When you study the female body and the female brain, we're very sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way I like to explain it, and no insult to men, but we're like a violin that you need to finely tune. And we have a lot of notes that we can play, whereas a male body and brain is more like a kazoo.
Mm.
No, I don't mean that in a put down.
We love you all, guys.
You have one note.
Yeah.
You have one note. Just play one note and your body and brain works. We have to be tuned.
Mm.
So with this added highway between the right and left hemisphere, we actually can bring our logical mind in with the left hemisphere, and we bring our relational creative mind in with the right hemisphere, and we use them both at the same time. And this highway gets stimulated by estrogen. So when a girl goes through puberty, all of a sudden, if we go back to Carol Gilligan's work, you have a girl that's using both her right and left hemisphere to make every decision. The right hemisphere is highly relational. The left hemisphere is highly logical. So we're bringing both of these to every single decision we make, which is why I think we become easy to manipulate.
Right.
Do you see where I'm going with this?
I absolutely see this. I'm even thinking about just how we make decisions, right, as women. Our decisions are not always like A plus B equals C.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Many times they're like, okay, well, I feel this way. I understand the facts, but this is where I'm going to land on my decision.
Yeah.
It's a lot of what makes us successful, but at the same time, if we're not careful, it's a lot of what leads to manipulation and like wrong turns along the way.
So like if the culture says, behave this way and you will be loved, you start using that right side of your brain in every relationship to make sure that you don't disrupt or upset anybody, because then you might not be loved in a decision that you're trying to make. You're always bringing that right hemisphere. So
Interesting.
I've even gone as far down the road as the rabbit hole, I should say, as to really think about narcissists and how we fall prey to narcissists.
Yes, so many women fall prey to narcissists.
And I think it's because of this relational brain. We also have more oxytocin receptor sites in our amygdala. So there's a stress response called tend and befriend. And so we often go in and start to connect to other people when we're stressed. And I think a narcissist can come in and really be charismatic and love us. And we've attached oxytocin to that.
Interesting.
And then they turn on us, but we still attach oxytocin to it, which keeps us captive.
So our brain's a really powerful tool, but we spend no time thinking about it, training and understanding. Like the way you've just explained it, like probably would have helped me 5 years ago when I was with, in the throes of things with my daughter, like understanding which lever she's pulling at which time. But bringing us back to now and into middle age, how do we navigate those two brains? Like, is one brain collapsing a little bit? Is the other brain coming more forward?
So this was Lisa Mosconi's work. When you actually dive into the depths of what she studied, is that the brain lateralizes itself. And so we stop using this cross connection.
Interesting.
So this is why the subtitle is For More Mental Clarity, Better Confidence. Because when you dive into the science, we're actually meant to be more focused on the other side of menopause. Because our brain goes from this cross-referenced mentality to, oh, I can sit on a couch and I can have a deep conversation with a girlfriend and I'm in my right hemisphere only. I'm not bringing the left hemisphere in, because remember, estrogen connected the two. Without the same levels of estrogen, our brains will operate more in this lateralized way. So I can be fully emotional and click out of the logical, and I can do the opposite, where I can go fully into logical and be really good at my business, be really good at goal setting, and not bring the other side of the brain in. We will stay more, it's more like a male brain. We are more in tune with one side of the brain at a time, not both together.
Is this why women make big decisions when they hit mid-age?
That's right.
Is this why people get divorced or get married or start that business or go back to school? Or is this what's going on?
Exactly. It's exactly. So the brain literally, this is why I'm like, we have to talk about the rewirement, not you didn't get enough HRT. Like, and even if you're on HRT, you're not having the same estrogen levels that you had
before.
Right.
Yeah.
So the brain makes a change that changes your behavior. And so when we look at the divorce rate, 70% of divorces are initiated by women after 40. Her brain rewired. And in that rewirement, she's making new decisions. Now, I don't mean that every woman needs to get divorced.
Right.
In fact, we spent a lot of time, me and my collaborative writers, on this. Like this, I don't want this to be a divorce book.
Right.
I think, though, there needs to be a new discussion with couples that have been married a long time. There needs to be an added discussion of like, okay, I do things for myself now. I do things differently. My brain is rewired and is behaving differently. So we need to have new conversations within the relationship.
So can a male, if you were looking at a male-female relationship, going through these changes, and both brains, right, going through changes.
Right.
Can they get there? Can they get to where, especially if attachment was based on something else way back in the beginning, right? Can, as people's brains basically change? And I had another super fascinating podcast episode that we did with someone who talked about, it was Sarah Hill. She talked about how the birth control pill can change who we are and who we're not attracted to.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
It's crazy.
But we're having kind of the same conversation on this side of the age equation, right? Where now like our brains are changing. So we're going to start to see each other a little bit differently.
Yeah.
How does a couple, how do couples kind of get through that sticky space?
So the first thing is we have to open the conversation up. And so in the book, I put an appendix to men. So because I knew women would read this book and see themselves, and they'd turn around and try to explain it if they were in a heterosexual relationship, try to explain it to their husband. I was like, well, let me just write a
Husbands
chapter.
are like, huh?
Yeah, let me just write a chapter for men, so you can hand the book and just say, just read this one chapter.
Yeah.
So we have to open the conversation up is the first thing. Second thing, I've turned to a couple mental health experts and brought them on my podcast to try to understand this.
Right.
Jillian Trekkie and Terry Real. Terry Real, he specializes in men and helping men and understand how to be fully present in a heterosexual relationship. So I think we need to, first thing is bring it to a bigger conversation where we all step into it and we start to look at this differently, because what's happening is women are like, he doesn't understand me. And yet she doesn't understand herself. Her behaviors and her opinions changed. And then we have a culture that is really hyper independent right now.
Yes. And I think that's a problem, actually.
I think it's a problem too. And people like Esther Perel are starting to talk about it.
Right.
So I can only share what I've done in my 30-year marriage, which I think I'm really proud of what we've done.
That's huge.
Yeah.
You should be proud. That's incredible.
So what we did is we started classifying our marriage as different phases. So the marriage we had before children, we call marriage 1.0.
Okay.
The marriage once children came is marriage 2.0. And the marriage as an empty nester is marriage 3.0. And so the discussions we have is, what are we creating now in this time of life, as opposed to trying to do it the way we've done it always.
And trying to go back to something.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of couples get lost.
That's right.
Like you literally have to reinvent. Yeah. So for women, going back to women who are in this phase, you paint a picture that's very hopeful, very promising, really exciting, right?
Yeah.
But the reality, and I'm sure you see this on your end too, is that the majority of women can't get through the phase. The majority of women, I feel like, are stuck in either a state where they're irritable, or they're depressed, or they're uncomfortable, or they're just unhappy. I don't know how else to say it. And the worst sort of iteration of that is the women who truly are starting to experience like brain deficits, right?
Yeah.
They have brain fog. They have low levels of dementia. They're forgetting things. They can't perform at work, So for these women who are just kind of swimming, they're struggling and they're swimming.
Yeah.
How do we reconcile this message of hope where, hey, the brain can actually be, something more powerful and used to your advantage in this next phase of life?
Yeah.
How do we get them over there, when they're kind of like sitting in the depths, just feeling like a different person?
And I really want to honor that. I'm not trying to smooth over that phase, because I've been in that phase.
Yes,
I shared in the book. But here's a couple of things. I call this the brain remodel project. I think if we label it like a project, like understand if you've remodeled any part of your house, there's dust and there's confusion and the timelines seem ambiguous and they always go longer. So understand your brain is remodeling itself for the better. So that gives a lot of compassion there. Second thing, and something I think we really need to bring forward in the hormone conversation, is you're not just losing a few sex hormones.
Right.
When you actually look at estrogen, specifically estradiol, she stimulated over like 12 neurochemicals, ones we depend on: dopamine, serotonin, acetylcholine, GABA, glutamate, oxytocin, BDNF. So many. She's like the diva. So like when she's
main character energy, for sure.
Yeah. When she's like, peace out, I'm going away, all of those neurochemicals are vulnerable. But what we haven't really brought forward that I really want women to understand is everything you do every single moment of your day is providing a neurochemical reaction in your body. So let's use dopamine as an example.
Okay.
Dopamine loves novelty. So if you go rushing into your 40s and you're like, same routine, same thing, dress the same, work out the same, drive the same, everything's same, you might hit a point where you're like, I'm bored with this life or I'm depressed because nothing's bringing you the juice anymore, because estrogen brought dopamine in and now dopamine's going down, but the environment's not dopamine stimulating. So how do we bring novelty into our lives? that could look like rearranging your living room. Like rearrange the furniture in your living room and see how you feel. That might look like you start going to a different supermarket. You might do a different workout. I've been thinking a lot about this weightlifting, like stress we're putting on women. Like if you don't lift weights, you're going to get Alzheimer's.
Right.
Well, what if I go into a gym? I hate it in there. I'm lifting weights because I was told I was supposed to lift weights. Cortisol's going up, up, up. In the 1 hour I'm in the gym, I'm not getting natural light. I could take that same hour, go hiking or go walking or go somewhere with a friend. I'm getting oxytocin from the connection to the friend. I'm outside and getting receptor site. We have receptor sites in our eyes for serotonin. I'm getting, take your sunglasses off, let light turn, make your receptor sites, turn that into serotonin. Maybe you start storytelling in a walk. And so you're making your brain make acetylcholine. These neurotransmitters we can bring back through something as simple as changing our lifestyle. If you weren't meant, you're not meant to stay the same. You're not meant to have the same identity. So guess what? Change up your lifestyle and dopamine and all those neurochemicals will come back.
So is a part of aging just complacency?
Yes.
Just like
Oh, yeah.
accepting the status quo,
Oh, yeah.
not being willing to take a risk, not being willing to make a change,
Yeah.
not being willing to try something new, or kind of being a prisoner to fear or to some of these things. Is that just a part of aging?
I think it's a beautiful way to look at this. It is complacency. Like the worst thing you could do is keep doing the same
Over and over again.
over and over and over again. And if you look at like the generations that were ahead of us, that's kind of what they do.
Yeah.
My parents are 89 and
Yeah, they
86.
kind of get set in their ways, right? We eat dinner, we watch a show, end of the night, we go to bed, we wake back up.
Worst thing
It's
you
like,
could do.
and I think is that why retirement, I think, is the worst construct ever invented by mankind?
The stimulation to your brain goes way down in retirement. Whereas if you're using your brain in creative ways at work or you're interacting with other people and now you're at home, the statistics on retirement,
Terrible.
they're terrible. Like, and your aging starts to accelerate. So yeah, exactly. The complacency, the same is going to keep us depressed. And anxiety, I believe, is you're fearful about the future. And so you're fearful about the future because you haven't created anything to be excited about in your future. So I want to like start looking at this as we need to have a neurochemical view of the lifestyle that we create after 40 because our whole neurochemical system changed. So what are we doing with our lifestyle to adapt to that change?
What else would you tell women, and we can probably include men too, like if you really want to age like a girl, in addition to finding new opportunities, new experiences that trigger dopamine, right? That's the science of this. What else do we need to be thinking about if we are willing to accept the fact that we need to remodel our brains?
Yeah. Well, just so we are clear, the brain's going to remodel itself anyways.
Even if we don't participate.
Yeah, even if we don't participate.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to create another have to for women.
Right, exactly.
Like your brain's going there.
Yeah.
So there's another concept I put in the book.
I want to stop for a second. The have to. I think that's a really important point, right? Because I hear that from a ton of women, like, I don't have energy for this.
No.
It feels overwhelming. These are some of the words, like to get the diet right, to get the fitness right. Now, to your point, you're right. Like, okay, now we have to remodel our brains too. Like, where's that on the list?
Yeah.
So yes, please tell us like what is naturally, easily something women should start to be thinking about as they hit 40 and maybe then as they hit 50.
Yeah. So, and yeah, this is such a big point. I love we're in alignment on this because the worst thing we can do I hate this term, but as health influencers is create another
thing to do.
Another thing to do. So this is about coming back to you and starting to take parts of you back that were taken away from you. So there's nothing to do other than if you are noticing you're depressed, you're anxious, you're not sleeping, understand that there are little micro things you can do in your lifestyle every day that don't cost money, that are fun to do. Like, wouldn't you rather go walking with a friend than go to the gym? Put a rucking vest on if you want the added weight, then go to the gym and hire a trainer so that you can do what you were told to do on Instagram. Like, let's start to look at this through a neurochemical lens. Okay, but to answer your question at 40, I want to create a good checklist for women.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
the first thing I think we need to talk about is that the brain becomes less able to use glucose. So this means that our food matters more once we go into this process than it ever did. If you are on ultra-processed foods that are high glycemic, high glucose, and all the bad fats, your brain doesn't know how to use that glucose as well at 45 as it did at 35. So the brain fog can really be helped by cleaning up your diet. Let's get natural foods. Let's get protein. If you're vegan, great. Just make sure you're getting enough protein. Let's just eat real food. That it's in the book, I have something called the primal menopausal diet, where it's really back to what did the hunter and gatherer women do at this point? And it's easy. It's not counting anything. It's looking at quality of food. Second thing I think we need to do is really bring back this idea that there's another fuel source for the brain, and it's called a ketone.
Yes.
And I know I'm like a fasting zealot,
Right.
but I have
I've
watched.
heard that about you.
Yeah, like I know. And I've watched too many women succeed at fasting to not, and I've seen the science. You can't prove me, you can't change my opinion on this.
Okay, so fasting for women as they hit 40 and 50 is a part of aging like a girl.
Yeah, but let me explain a modified fasting, because again, I don't want to create another have to. I want to give an opportunity to a brain that might be ailing. So my version of getting a ketone doesn't mean you restrict carbs. So that's the first thing. I'm like, eat a clean diet. If carbs are great, protein's great, vegetables are great. Let's just eat good quality food.
And I think most people, when they hear ketone, they hear keto.
Yes.
And when they hear keto, they think keto diet, which is really bringing those carbohydrates down significantly.
That's right.
And that's where I've seen women struggle terribly when they do that. So that's not what we're talking about.
I'm not asking women to restrict carbs. So please know that. The second thing is, I'm not even talking about like a 3-day water fast. I'm not talking about long fasts, although I do think long fasts are very helpful to the postmenopausal brain, not the perimenopausal brain. I think something as little as a 13 to 15 hour intermittent fast every single day, what that does is it allows you to metabolically switch over to your fat burning system that will burn the fat that you're already looking in the mirror and deciding that you're a horrible person and you're all the negative talk. What you can do is, if you do 13 to 15 hours every single day, your body will burn that fat and it'll make a ketone.
So is this for the perimenopausal, menopausal, or postmenopausal?
Well, let's start with perimenopause.
Okay, so we're in perimenopause. We're talking 40 to maybe 51, 52,
Perfect.
53, somewhere in that range. So there's been a lot of back and forth about fasting, and some of the research, and I'm so curious what you
let's go there.
Some of the research has said that consistent fasting that way, 15 to 16 hours, actually lowers your metabolic rate when you do it for a long period of time.
Yep.
And then there are others that are saying this sort of fasting is creating more cortisol, more stress for the body, and worsens the whole cortisol, resistance, insulin resistance picture that perimenopausal women experience.
Yeah.
Tell me what you would say to that.
Yeah. Okay. So first, perimenopausal women, we're assuming you still have a cycle. So I really want to point that out. And in Fast Like a Girl, I still stand by everything I put in that book, which is the week before your period, do not fast.
Okay. I want to make sure everybody heard that.
Yeah.
That is the most critical time when we look at Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, all these older systems of medicine. That week before your period is a depletion state.
That's right.
That's where we're saying, please don't fast.
Please don't fast. The phrase I say is when cortisol goes high, progesterone becomes shy.
I like that. Ooh, I like that.
Just
I'm gonna
that's
have to
how
steal that. When,
Yeah, take it.
when cortisol goes high, progesterone goes shy.
Yeah.
That's easy to remember.
Right.
There we go.
So anytime your body's trying to make progesterone, you don't need cortisol. Cortisol is the enemy of progesterone.
Yes.
So that means fasting is like exercise. Even in a small dose will raise cortisol in the body. So you don't want to be fasting the week before your period. The other thing that I taught my patients a lot is once women in perimenopause start spotting.
Right.
So a lot of women are like, well, I'm on day 60.
Right.
My period hasn't come. I don't know what's going on. And they're like, I started spotting. I'm like, stop fasting, more carbs, because progesterone also needs glucose to go up. This is why we crave carbs the week before our period.
Right.
Our brilliant bodies are like, hey, give me a little more glucose, give me some more carbs, give me some chocolate. Then I've got all the right ingredients to actually make enough progesterone. So, but what do? We are like, oh, I can't stick to my diet.
Right.
I can't fast. I don't feel like working out. It's the week before my period.
So much noise.
Yeah.
So don't fast the week before your period. And if you're spotting, don't fast.
You stop.
What about everybody else?
So otherwise, if you have a fairly regular cycle, like day 1 of your cycle, which is the day your period starts. I know a lot of women I learned don't know that's day 1. That's day 1. All the way till about day 20, you can intermittent fast and be totally fine. It's just the week before your period, please no fasting. So I think that's pretty simple for perimenopause. I know I want to add a side conversation on this that's really being had, and Stacy Sims has been she has been promoting no fasting for all menopausal women. But I actually brought her on my podcast, and I'm like, can we talk about this, because women are getting confused. What she's saying is that if you are a very active woman, that fasting is not a good combination with hard workouts.
Right.
So if you are an endurance athlete, yes, you might start to look at fasting from a different angle. And this is the angle I would look at it. And it doesn't matter where you are in, like if you're 45, 55, I think once we go into postmenopause, we just have a lot more stability over there. But understand, if you're about to go into the gym, you're an active woman in perimenopause, and it's day 15 of your cycle, and you're going to go do a killer workout in the gym. Doing that in a fasted state may not be of benefit to you. That is what Stacy is saying.
Gotcha. Okay.
She is saying, get some protein.
Yeah.
Get some, and that makes sense to me too. Get some protein. Get some amino acids before that workout. That makes perfect sense to me.
Now, does the type of workout matter? What about the women that are going in and lifting super heavy weights versus the women, training for a marathon versus the women going in to do yoga or Pilates or something along those lines?
So if you're lifting heavy weights, you need amino acids, and you can get that from food. You could get that from supplementation. So I'm like you said this earlier. I tried the 1 gram of protein for every pound of ideal body weight, and all I did is gain weight.
I gained weight.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I've seen so many women do that. And I did that in conjunction with weightlifting. And actually, my muscle mass went up, but so did my fat content. I just felt thick. I did not like that. And so I switched over to amino acid supplementation, or like a powder in your water, so that I had the amino acids to go do my weightlifting, but I wasn't eating all this. I wasn't doing so much protein. So that, and then
that's like a sigh of relief to women everywhere, I'm sure, as they're listening to this right now, because so many of them have just looked at me and like, I can't do it. I can't do the 1 gram of protein, per pound of body weight a day. Yeah. And I empathize with them. I'm like, I can't either. I can't do it either.
One of my favorite memes that came out recently is like, I'm sorry, I can't go to work today. I've got to count my protein.
I know.
right? And then you have
so
women.
sad.
It's so sad. And then I'm sure you have on your all over your socials. I have women that are like, can you just show me what
All the time.
what 30 grams of
Yeah.
protein looks like?
All the time.
So we're intuitive. We're sophisticated. We know our bodies. We've been taught to outsource everything when it comes to our female bodies. We outsource what we want our body to look like. We outsource all the food we think we're supposed to eat. How about we go back into what feels right for us?
So this fasting for women, connected back to aging
Yeah.
and longevity in the brain.
Yeah.
How is it helping us when we do that 15-hour, 16-hour fast per day? How is that actually helping us?
You are getting a splash of ketones. And let me tell you what ketones do for the brain. The first, they bring all those neurotransmitters back. They calm the brain by bringing GABA back. When a ketone, your brain gets a ketone, it stimulates dopamine production. It stimulates serotonin. You start to see oxytocin and BDNF. Like all of those neurochemicals start to come back online when the ketone appears, which is amazing. Second thing, the mitochondria in the neurons in our brain, they respond as we age. They are more fueled by a ketone than they are fueled by glucose.
Wow.
Lisa and I actually talked about this on my podcast when she was promoting her book.
Right.
I asked her, I was like, okay, but then are you telling me that the menopausal brain likes ketones more than glucose because of how much energy it can get from a ketone? And she's like, yeah, I've heard that from so many women. And I was like, okay, but you just said it's not as sensitive to glucose. So what are we supposed to do? And she's like, well, keep glucose low. I said, but there's another fuel source here. Couldn't we go over to that fuel source? And she was absolutely in agreement. People can go hear that on my podcast. I said, well, what's the research on that? And she goes, we don't have any. And I was like, can't you study it?
Right. Next.
Like, isn't that your job?
Yeah.
She goes, one day I will.
Yeah.
But what I've seen, I'm not joking. We have over 3 million women across all of our platforms. And we have asked for feedback over and over and over again. I literally have a team of people that bring back what are women experiencing with fasting. And the menopausal women are saying, my brain came back online within days.
Wow.
Once I started to do these short fasts every single day, my mental clarity, my calm, my happiness came back.
So do you recommend, okay, so we've seen a lot of research and anecdotal, reports from women around microdosing GLP-1s and their brain suddenly clearing.
There you go.
So is this again getting women basically into a lower, more of a fasting-ish state, but with the use of a GLP-1? That's taking down inflammation. I don't know if it's providing ketones necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, it's giving you, if it brings glucose down, it stabilizes your glucose, you're going to get ketones much quicker because your glucose is more stable. So in order to switch over into the fat-burning energy source that gives you ketones, you have to have a stable glucose system, a metabolic system first. So I think it's bringing women there, and then they maybe skip breakfast and all of a sudden they're like, wow, actually my brain's working really well.
So glucose, ketones, producing ketones, fasting, a big part of aging and aging success and brain remodeling.
Yeah.
We talked about, not being complacent, finding new activities, new experiences, new things to enjoy as a part of brain remodeling that should be happening as we move from peri to menopause to postmenopause. Is there anything else we should be thinking about as we hit this phase of life?
Yeah. So the one of my favorite is the oxytocin system.
Okay.
Because estrogen just like her bestie is oxytocin. I don't know if you know this, you probably do, but one of the things that I've geeked out the most on in research for this book is 2 days before estrogen hits her peak during ovulation, oxytocin appears. Isn't that brilliant of our bodies to give us a mega dose of oxytocin
to get you through that little bump?
To get you to want to bond so our species can continue forward. You know what else happens? 2 days after an egg gets released, melatonin appears. Our body makes melatonin so we can start to rest, because what if that egg was fertilized? Then we got to go into a rest and repair phase. Like, we're brilliant.
Yeah.
We are so sophisticated. But with oxytocin, what you see a lot of women start to do is they can't do superficial connection anymore. I can't go and
That's it.
yeah, right? I can't go out to ladies' night and like bitch about, everybody in my life. I can't like retail therapy might not do it for me anymore. The superficiality. I'm not going to talk to you about the weather. I want to talk to you about what I'm feeling right now.
Connect.
I want to connect.
Yeah.
And I think this is a big piece of what happens in divorces, especially in heterosexual relationships, is the man hasn't been taught to be vulnerable. Terry Real and I talked about this. Men are not taught to be vulnerable in this culture. And you have a woman who's going through this phase and wanting a deeper connection from her man. And the man doesn't know what that feels like or how to do that. And so all of a sudden we feel disconnected from this primary relationship of our life. And maybe our girlfriends are situational girlfriends where our kids went to school together.
It happens all the time.
Right? We used to call it mommy dating when my kids were little. I'm like, I got to find some moms that have similar situations. But all of a sudden we want that one or two bestie next to us all the time. We don't want to go out to ladies' night out.
Right.
We want to be in our PJs on the couch talking about the depth of our feelings with our favorite human. That is where we're going to get oxytocin, not from all the superficial connections. So I use Jane Fonda as an example. She talks all the time about how she could not even breathe as she aged if it wasn't for her girlfriends.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when I went back and I looked at the oxytocin system and I combined that with the grandmother hypothesis, which says in the primal days, all the postmenopausal women gathered and went out and foraged for food together. I think there's something about the gathering of women at this phase, which is why we have to open this conversation up. We are meant to go deeper into connection with our besties. We are looking for oxytocin in a new way. We need to go into deeper connection with our spouses, but our spouses also need to know what that looks like for us. If everything stays on the surface and we're not getting oxytocin, we're adding to the depression that we're feeling.
Oxytocin is honestly something I have not spent a lot of time thinking about. And I'm thinking right now about all the women I know who actually retreat.
Right.
And isolate in this phase rather than embracing other women or seeking connection. And some of that may be the first reaction, like, I don't have patience for this or I don't have time for this.
Yep.
But I think we need to encourage women to push through and find those people that kind of feed your soul, because I think that's really what makes life, so enjoyable. And I think as women, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think we're meant to be in a community. My husband always made fun of me. He's like, you're like a lone wolf all the time. He goes, it's so anti being a woman. He goes, why are you like that? And I don't know why I was like that, but I know for a fact that I cannot be like that anymore. And I've been in groups of women now, very similar, very, made up of, similar values and similar goals and things like that. And it's been, so fulfilling versus going to a ladies' night where everyone's like comparing their outfits and their bags and all that stuff, which I personally, if that's your thing, that's great. But I personally don't have a lot of patience for that. So I think that helped me understand the lone wolf versus pack mentality.
Yeah.
Just because you may have not found your people yet is not a reason for you to stay alone.
Thank you.
You need a pack. You need those connections,
So we always put the Okinawa women up as, look at these women live to 100.
So great.
They're doing so great. You know what one of their secrets is? They create moais. Moais are a gathering of people, and it happens to both men and women, but for the Okinawa women, when they specifically lose their spouse, the women come together in a pack mentality and they share resources.
Oh my gosh, I just got chills. That's incredible.
So if a woman doesn't have a home, she's invited into another woman's home. If a woman can't cook a meal, another woman will cook a meal for her. If you start to break down our primal ways, we are meant to more of a pack mentality as women, and supporting women and lifting women up when we go through this menopausal process. But what are we doing here in Western culture?
The opposite.
The opposite. And we're isolating ourselves. We're becoming hyper independent. We're freezing our faces because we don't want you to see the wrinkles. And God forbid you would see some gray hair, because women are so scared of becoming invisible. And one of the things I really want women to understand with this book and conversations like this is we're meant to come together now. And we're meant to lift each other up and support each other and help each other through this. We're not meant to do it in this hyper-independent world that we are living in, and we need each other.
I think the hyper-independent world is actually making us sick.
Yeah.
Honestly. What would you tell women out there who are listening to us today and they're curious about the book, Age Like a Girl? They are scared to take that next step. They are feeling like, like that caterpillar story that you told us in the beginning, that they are molting and something's shedding, but it's super uncomfortable and they really don't know what to do next. What would you tell them?
Yeah. Well, first thing is, I really do believe knowledge is power. Like, get to know yourself. And once you understand how your body and your brain is working, then the fear starts to go away. So become knowledgeable. Read as many books. I mean, there's so many great
There's
hormone.
a lot of resources.
There's so many resources. So just get curious about yourself. Second thing is get to know yourself. I think for me, this was like really important, was like, and this is where the temporary isolation can be helpful. Like, really get to know your likes and your dislikes outside of everybody else's expectation of you. So get to know yourself. And then the third thing is, don't go at it alone. Find other women there's a lot of great men out there that are cheering us on.
Definitely.
And surround yourself with a group of cheerleaders, people who are lifting you up, that are understanding the days where you're really moody, that are understanding what it's like to watch you not sleep night after night after night, or women that have been through the process. I call them butterflies. There's so many beautiful butterfly women out there who have gone through this. Look to the wise elders and use them as emotional support. We need to come together, not apart, on this conversation.
Oh, I love that. And I think I would encourage women. There's still so many chapters to write.
So many.
So don't stop.
Yeah.
Just redefine them.
Yeah.
That's
and you're coming into your best years.
Yes. It's
like
exciting.
I keep saying it's a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to experience yourself in new ways, and you're going to find, once you get through the brain fog and the irritability and all that, you're going to find yourself standing in the most authentic version of you ever. And it might look like your little girl.
Yeah.
It might not, but you're going to, if you allow it, you can fall in love with yourself in a way you never have before.
Oh, I love that. So that's what people can expect from Age Like a Girl.
Yep.
Is there anything else you're hoping that this book will do?
I write books to open conversation. So I'm hoping all of us in the women's health space, in the relationship space, take this idea and support women and keep the conversation going. That's really what I want. Is I felt like there was a menopause conversation that was so centered around fear. And I wanted to say, this is a beautiful time if we understand it. So I'm hoping that the world will take this and share it. We're actually going to do a conversation card deck around it.
I like that.
So we can start conversations that are different than the ones being had right now.
Well, this feels like a breath of fresh air. So I want to thank you for being on the show today. The book is Age Like a Girl, available everywhere books are sold.
I don't even have to use the word pre-order anymore.
Now. All right, I have a final question.
Okay.
What makes you whole?
Oh, I will give you the new answer.
Okay, there's a new answer.
Yeah, I have really found wholeness in bringing back my little girl.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, thank you.
I think that gives the rest of us so much encouragement and hope.
Yeah,
for
thank
sure.
you.
So I love that answer. That's a unique one too. I love that. I hope everyone embraces their little girl and finds it and unleashes their creativity, finds their people, finds connection. because we're not talking about this enough.
Yeah.
We're not talking about it in the context of some of these other ideas around the brain and remodeling the brain. We're talking a lot. I'm a part of that conversation. We've talked a lot about hormones and hormone balancing and all the other physiological things, but we're not talking about this. So thank you for taking time out
Thank
today
you.
to join me on the show. And for everybody else, I'll see you guys next time. Before you go, remember, healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in moments. If today's episode gave you one of those moments, subscribe and keep learning with me. The next video is right here, and it picks up right where this one left off.